Hi, I'm Giancarlo.
Yes, you are. And I'm Felicia.
Yes, you are. And this is a review of
Bioshock Infinite Siege of Columbia.
Yes, based on the popular video game Bioshock.
Oh, that's what I was wondering. Okay, cool. It looks very multicultural. Colombia is a very multicultural place.
Oh God, here we go. It's not that Colombia. It's
We
Colombia
got the Asians,
from the
we
art.
got the Brazilians.
How is this? This is not Asian.
We got the masked leather man who lost his face in a fire.
That's ethnic. The masked leather man is ethnic.
Lost his face in a fire. Yeah, like there's some time traveling because there's the people with the funny hair.
There's no time travel. None. Whatsoever. There is zip lining. There's zip lining.
There was zip lining in these times.
Let's take a look at the components. The board represents Colombia. It's separated into different areas and territories. You'll be able to move using the yellow arrows or use the skylines to travel across the map, assuming you don't fall. There are 2 reference sheets, one for each faction. On the sheets you'll find a round sequence summary, a table which summarizes the cost to buy a unit and which die you roll for that unit, a reminder on how to use and move the major units for each faction, the songbird and the airship, your unit stats which you can upgrade and unlock abilities, and above that the list of ways on how to gain upgrades to use on your units. There are 4 decks of action cards, one for each player. The action cards have 3 stats on them and a special ability. The first stat is its power, the second stat is its influence when voting, and the third stat is how much money you make when you discard it. The ability on the cards mostly have a lock icon, which means you can only use that ability if you unlocked it on your player sheet. The voting cards are revealed at the start of each round, and players will secretly use their cards to vote on whether the ability of that card happens or is ignored. The plus and minus sign will tell you which faction this card is good for. The bottom track of these cards will move Booker and Elizabeth on the board according to the number to the right. If Booker's face is there, he is aggressive and will attack the faction at that location. If Elizabeth's face appears, you move her token down on her sheet. This will trigger an ability or effect for the game. You get 3 sheets in the box, but you only use 1 per game, so this adds a little bit of replay value. The victory cards have objectives on them. If you complete these objectives, you gain the victory points at the bottom. At the end of each round, one of these gets flipped over. If a faction completes it, they acquire it by placing victory points on their faction on that card, and the other faction can no longer get that card. The leader cards are like your personal special abilities. Each player will draw one at random, and for this game, you have that special bonus. Think of these like the characters you are playing as.
Finally, you'll get units for each faction. The light colors are if you are playing 4 players, 2 versus 2. You'll get money tokens to buy units. The cost is written on that table we showed you earlier. Destruction markers to destroy areas. Skyline dice to see if your unit held onto the skyline while traveling between territories. You roll them and a thumbs up means he made it. If you miss, he'll fall and die unless you discard cards equal to the number on those dice. Combat dice for each type of unit in your army. The table again shows you what dice you roll depending on the unit in the battle. White is low, blue is medium, and red is powerful. You can also build structures on your territories. Strongholds which rolls a red die in combat and it respawns fallen units. Turrets which add a blue die to its territory and adjacent territories. And an alarm which adds 1 die and also add +1 to all dice you roll in that territory. So now you know all the components and tokens. Let's take a look at the gameplay. The player to first place all his 10 victory points somewhere wins the game.
Here's how to set up. Each player will choose a side and follow the setup in the rulebook. You'll each have a starting army on the board. Each player will also get their deck, which they shuffle and place in front of them. A random leader card for their faction, the big summary sheet for their faction, 10 victory tokens for their faction, and all the remaining units and structures. Choose one of the 3 Elizabeth cards and place the token on the first one. The other 2 cards are out of the game. Shuffle both the voting deck and the objective deck and place them next to the board, flipping one of the objective cards. Randomly place a battle marker on each empty area on the board, and each player draws 5 cards from their deck, and you're now ready to fight for Colombia.
Let's go through one round to see what it looks like. A round starts with the world event. Here you flip over a voting card and players will take turns placing cards face down from their hand. When everyone is ready, reveal the cards and the player with the most influence decides if that ability happens or not. If a faction has less victory points, they also get to roll a white die to add to their vote. That player also gets the first player marker and a free upgrade for receiving the first player marker, which is also summarized on the player sheet. All cards used in voting are discarded, so choose wisely. After voting, you look at the bottom of the card. The number is where Booker will go on the map. If his face is there, he will attack anyone at that location. If Elizabeth's face appears, she also moves to that location and her token moves down by 1, triggering your game effect. This ends the world event phase.
Next is the player phase. The player with the first player token will go first. He can produce, which means he can discard cards to make money equal to its money value, plus any upgrades it might have. Then use your money to buy units or structures. The cost is on your player sheet. You can also buy upgrades for 3 silver each. Once you've built stuff on locations you control, you can move up to 4 units. To move on a yellow arrow is easy and harmless, but you can only move 1 spot. If you want to use the danger skyline, you can. For every location you reach, you must roll the 3 yellow dice. A thumbs up means you can press your luck and continue on the skyline, or stop at that location. You can go as far as you want as long as you make the rolls for each spot. If you fail, you must discard that number of cards or lose the unit. The airship and songbird can only move 2 spots on the skyline, but they do not need to roll since they are flying. After moving, you do combat. If you are in a zone with enemy units, you both place cards from your hand face down. When you are both ready, you reveal your cards and add up the power plus abilities if they are unlocked. Don't forget to add the upgrades you might have on your sheet to the total. Then each player will roll dice depending on which units they are in that territory. The player with the highest power wins the battle. The loser must lose a unit and move all other units to a stronghold. If you do not have a stronghold, you lose all the units, so try to at least keep 1 stronghold somewhere on the board. When you win a battle, you get a free upgrade. This can be a plus to a stat of one of your cards, or unlocking an ability. If you go into a territory which was unclaimed, turn over the civilians there and try to remove them by winning the battle. You also get money and an upgrade if you win this battle. If you control an entire territory, meaning all the areas of that territory, you place victory tokens on it, getting you closer to winning the game. If you lose an area, take those points off the board.
After resolving all battles, do the refresh phase. Here all players can discard or keep cards and then draw back to a hand of 5 cards. Then 1 extra objective card is revealed and a new round begins, going back to the world event voting phase. If at any time a faction has all 10 victory tokens, that player or team wins the game.
Bioshock is an area control type game with some other fun mechanics like voting and upgrading, adding to the risk style gameplay. The components and production quality is really good, and you get what you pay for. The game is very thematic, and for those of you who have played the video game, you might enjoy the game, but don't expect any lore from the board game. For those of you who haven't played the video game, well, there is no story anywhere in the rulebook to why these 2 factions are at war. But even not knowing what Bioshock is all about, you can still enjoy this game if you don't have a problem with dice dictating the outcome of battles, like in most war games. The artwork is really cool and really captures the unique theme and the Bioshock universe. The upgrade system, the hero system, and the skyline systems are all really cool. And the objective cards and the Elizabeth track make each game a different experience. There is strategy when trying to decide what cards to keep during voting in case you get attacked, or which stat should be upgraded and where you should go. However, sometimes you can have the best of strategy and you just have it ruined by bad luck. The battle tokens at the start of the game can have a huge impact. You can be stuck with the highest ones around you while the other players have the easy ones. The dice obviously have a huge part during the battles, and just like in Risk, a hero soldier can kill an entire army. This happens in this game, which doesn't appeal to all gamers. One wrong move can infect your entire round and make you feel discouraged, but you will have a chance to catch up since the other player is in the same boat as you, and he might get unlucky in the rounds afterwards. The game has a good balance between luck and strategy, but we do recommend it more as a 2-player game than 4. Bioshock is a good area control game with some cool mechanics and good replay value. Just know that you will have some frustrating rounds. We're giving Bioshock 7.5 skylines out of 10.
Putting the hair for it too. Well done.
Giancarlo and his creepy hair.
Creep. That's right. Yeah. You want to lick it? Then just pat it down.
I don't
a
want to
little
lick
poofy.
your hair.
Why not?